you are looking for perfection, you're in the wrong place. Hey guys, Katie here for the Love of Leftovers. Welcome to my studio. Today we have a whole bunch of things going on. I have over 200 pounds of tomatoes that need to get processed. The easiest place to do that is down here in my studio. It's a rainy Sunday, so we are going to take this opportunity to not only get caught up and get some produce taken care of, but also I have to do some homeschooling prep. I have chicken that's already on the stove, making some chicken broth because we have carcasses left over from our big batch whole chicken extravaganza that we did. And so I had some of those carcasses in the freezer that I wasn't able to process that day. Today's the day. I needed room in the freezer from yesterday's Costco grocery haul. Lots of great things going on the channel, right? And so today I had to get those carcasses out of the freezer, get them on the stovetop, get them processing. So we've got a whole bunch of things going on, and I'm so glad that you're here to spend the day with me. So here is a look at all of the tomatoes that we're dealing with. I know I don't have like a pretty setup or anything going on, but I have, and I have this box of peppers. We need to dice those all up and get those set aside. But here is all of the bushels. Oh, and that's a box of apples down there. Those are going to get turned into applesauce or apple cider. I think my kids prefer apple cider. But I am using my two biggest pots for the chicken right now. So what I'm actually going to do, I could put them all in the slow cookers. I have enough of them. But I think the quicker approach is actually using my canning pot, which I have cleaned out. So we're going to put the canning tomatoes, the ones that I'm going to make sauce with, in this pot and get these cooking down. Now, because I just have so much going on today, I am trying to utilize my time wisely, okay? And I have 200 pounds of tomatoes here, 200 plus pounds of tomatoes. And some of them are canning tomatoes, which I got at a good price for around here. It's certainly not crazy inexpensive, but $1.25 a pound is what I paid for all of the canning tomatoes. And then I also have some number one tomatoes. And so if, like me, you don't know what that difference is, what it means is that canning tomatoes usually have blemishes on them. So maybe they have blemishes just from ripening differently, or a vine poked into it as it was growing in the garden, or a crow picked at it, so there's some spots on them. They might be a little bit on the softer side. And then we have number one tomatoes, which are practically perfect. So let me show you a difference here. This right here is a canning tomato. So this has multiple blemishes on it, still perfectly fine to eat, gonna taste amazing. It's just you're not gonna see these ones in grocery stores, for example. This is a number one, so just like it sounds, it's first pick from the crop, and there's no blemishes on these whatsoever, just where it comes off of the vine. So canning tomatoes you can typically get at a cheaper price because of the blemishes. These are the ones that people are using to can and things like that. These are the ones people are putting on BLTs or subs or anything like that. Taste exactly the same. They are literally the same tomato. So I got 100 pounds from one of our local farmers market, from one of our local farm stands. I got 100 of these canner tomatoes. Yesterday, I was going by a different farm stand and I asked them if they had any canner tomatoes and what their pricing was. Pricing across the board seems to be the same, and they're all doing this on purpose, essentially, to spread the wealth. But he told me, I actually don't have any canning tomatoes. What I have are number ones. He's like, I can sell them to you as canner tomatoes. I was like, Thank you, Jesus. Yes, I will take them. I was like, can you give me 100 pounds? Can you give me 2 bushels? He's like, yep, give me 10 minutes. Awesome. Thank you, Jesus. So I got these. So my thought, though, so yes, these all could be made into sauce, and that would be probably the easier route, and those definitely aren't going to go to waste. Any sauce that we make is not going to go to waste here. I am prepping for the winter and prepping for things ahead, life ahead, okay? And one of my son's main food groups is angel hair pasta and pasta sauce. But I had the thought, I have another son who really loves having chips and salsa. That is one of our like things that we do together, and just kind of like it's a connection point, right? So I figured, since I have these number ones, these would make great salsa. So initially, my thought is to take 2 bushels, the 2 bushels that I have of the canner tomatoes, and make tomato sauce, and then take 2 bushels and make the salsa, because I have all these peppers that I need to prep, and I have a huge bag of onions. I have 2 huge bags of onions, so I can start working through those as well, get stuff made, preserved, and put up on our shelves for this winter. I also have a couple big boxes of little cherry tomatoes, and I have heard that you can just wash those, can those whole. So I might do that with those, or I might just add them to the pot with the canner tomatoes. I'm trying to make the most of my day. So we're going to start with the canner tomatoes and get that sauce going, because that's going to take a while to cook down. So while that's happening, then I can be cutting up these salsa tomatoes or the peppers, get those all kind of prepped and ready. I'm not going to be able to use my water bath canner while it's happening, but that's okay. It's the biggest pot that I have to do this. And I need to also take the time where some of this stuff is working in the background. I need to take that time to prep for this week's homeschooling, which is definitely my top priority. So, I mean, both of these kind of are. I don't want these tomatoes going to waste. So, feeding the family with the mind and feeding the family physically. Those are 2 very important aspects of motherhood. Okay, so here's a look at what we've got going so far. I've got a few carcasses, and these were the ones that we cooked that had potatoes, sweet potatoes, onions, all those good things. This one has already been brought up to a boil, and now I've reduced it so that it will be simmering. This one we can bring down a bit, and these are just going to go, I need to find a cover for this one. But these are going to go for hours, really. I'm just going to simmer them for hours, get that chicken to break down, add more water as needed. I'll push down that chicken here in just a minute. And then, obviously, I ran out of room a bit, especially when dealing with these big pots. Running out of room. I've got these little burners in the back, the simmer burners back there. Maybe I could push that one back. I've got another medium-ish one here. So, I don't know, maybe I'll try doing some finagling. But I have those 2 going, and then here in the oven, I have my biggest Dutch oven with another carcass and water in there. And I'm just utilizing the oven to get that to boil and make a broth as well. Okie dokie, this is how we make things work. Got a little bit of a lid there. Got them scooted right close. I am going to turn down the heat on these, low on both of them. This sucker is still boiling away. Alright, but then that gives me some room over here. I'm going to put the tomatoes there. In yesterday's shopping extravaganza, I did gift myself one of these. It was $10 at one of the discount stores that I went to. So I'm hoping this will help with at least the onions. It's not going to help with the peppers because I'm chopping those pretty small. I might pull out my food processor and see if I can maybe do a whole bunch that way. And then the tomatoes, I feel like the tomatoes I'm actually going to want to slice by hand and dice by hand, just because I don't want them to get super mushy. Like, I know the size that I want in my salsa. Okay, like I said, I'm going to start with the canners. So I am just going to, oh, I should probably wash these first. Okay, I guess I'm going to wash these first. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wash these, and then I'm going to put them into the big kahuna here. This one, the lid didn't fit like super duper well, so we have some reduced chicken stock here, but that's fine. I cannot even tell you the amount of life that has happened in the course of making this video. So this canning project, just to give you a little spoiler alert, this canning project ended up taking over the course of a couple weeks, I would say. In the course of that time, we had lots of behaviors from one of my kids, so that made things difficult. I also just had very minimal time, okay? Food started going bad. That was really rough. One of the biggest things, though, is my hard drive that had all of this content on it from these days, completely crapped out on me, and I lost so much content. What you see in this video is such a hodgepodge of the days that I spent doing this. I had so much more footage, and it was really devastating, and it took me about a week to move past losing a whole bunch of footage. And then my husband helped me. We got a program and did our best to recover as much of it as we could. It was a lot. It was really a lot. And so you're going to see things in here like chicken stock, and then, prepping for salsa, and the salsa never gets made. And then maybe we're going to do a little bit of bread and some homeschooling prep. A lot of life happened in the duration of this video. So yes, we are tackling all of these tomatoes, and I will say we end up getting the majority of them put up and away on the shelves. And so my husband and my family and I will love it in the months to come. But it was definitely more of a fight, and probably, well, the biggest fight being, recording it all and being able to share that process. And I find it really interesting that I was also able to do it in a couple different ways, because I wanted to share that with you as well. I wanted to be able to share the different ways that you can process these tomatoes with different tools and different things like that. So hope you stick around so you can see all that I went through, learn from my mistakes, and, learn the good ways, the bad ways, and let's be real, the slightly easier ways to make this happen for your family. Look how beautifully red that is. Perfection. Woo. So there's a couple of these that just have a few nasty spots on them, but we're just going to cut those out and throw the rest in. Okay, I am putting this over medium heat. I do have a little bit of water down in the bottom just so that we don't scorch anything. I'm gonna put this, oh no, what am I doing? I'm going to put this lid on top and get it cooking down a bit. So that canner that I have, that water bath canner, that fit half of a bushel in it, and it fit like perfectly too. So good to know. I'm going to have to cook these down at least 4 times, which is fine. This might be another project that doesn't all get done today, and that's okay too. I have to be gentle with myself, with my body, and with my timeline, because there's other things that I have to get done as well. And take many days, it did. We're talking weeks. You will see, like, maybe I should make it kind of like a bingo game or something where, you know, you count the different outfits, the number of different outfits that I have during this video, and someone in the comments tell me how many days, based on the number of outfits that I made or that I wore, how many days did it take me to complete this project. I know that it took me a span of weeks, but all that being said, we now have a super mega ukulele amount of pasta sauce and chicken stock up on our shelves, which is never a bad thing because, like I said, pasta sauce, angel hair pasta, that is one of my kids' main food groups. You know, my autistic son specifically, like that's one of his go-to meals. And then chicken stock, there's just so much versatility with chicken stock, plus nutrition wise, right? I mean, if all else failed, if all we had in our home was chicken stock and eggs and pasta sauce, I mean, we would really have a lot. Okay, we would have everything that we like physically need. Did you know, fun fact, did you know that eggs actually have all the nutrients and minerals? It has everything that you need, that your body needs to have on a daily basis, except for calcium. All of the eggs' calcium is found in the shell. And so, I mean, if you ground the shell and ate the shell in, you know, powder or whatever, like that would be everything your body needs in order to survive and even thrive, which is kind of crazy that, you know, that type of thing is made. And, you know, and then we can make bonus stuff like chicken stock from a carcass. Who knew? One thing to know about me is maybe you can call it lazy or productive, you know, lazy to some, productive to others, but I am going to find the quickest and most efficient way to do any task. Like, I'm going to do it as possible because I have a lot of kids. I have very minimal time. I have time on the weekends to do things. Sometimes I have time at night, but we're in a season where I've got multiple kids in sports. So we have sports going on just about every single night. So I really don't have time, plus homeschooling during the day, and some have to be taken to places during the day. Like, it's just, it can be a lot. So I ain't got time to dilly-dally around. Things got to get done very quickly. So that might not mean perfect, but done is better than perfect. At least that's what I'm learning. Because if I wait for the perfect circumstances, the perfect time, perfect amount of time, the perfect produce, if I wait too long, well then chances are, and this has happened multiple times, my produce is actually going to go bad. And then I've just wasted a bunch of money, and then I feel like crap because, oh, I didn't get anything up for my family. So what I'm going to do today, the reason I'm on that soapbox, is if you are looking for perfection when it comes to getting these things done, you're in the wrong place. But I am going to utilize tools that I have so that I can get these things done. And so that might not be the most aesthetically pleasing kind of a way. You're not going to see a bunch of B-roll of me, you know, chopping a whole bunch of peppers, because that was taking forever yesterday or the day before when I actually was chopping peppers. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, not going to do that. What I am going to do is utilize an appliance that I have that I've paid good money for. And I tell you guys all the time that if you're not using your appliances that you've paid for, it is the same thing as throwing perfectly good produce away, because you're not using it and you've already spent the money to pay for it. So we are going to use not even the chopper for this. I'll use that for onions, but I'm going to use my Cuisinart food processor. And you'll see me here, I'm just cutting off any like moldy parts or bad parts. Okay. Alright, we've got all the stickers off. I've got them washed up. Now we're going to start putting chunks of these peppers into the food processor, and it's going to do the work for me. Okay, so I have a scrap bowl right here, and I am just going to cut any scraps I have and seeds into that bowl. And I'm going to either cut or rip these apart. Get out as many of the seeds as you can. But if you leave some in, not a big deal. Just kind of clap the pepper to your hand and those seeds will come out. Try and make them all about the same size as you put them in. You'll get a more even dice that way. Alright, this is looking a little bit full, so I'm going to run this. Okay, let's see what we get. Alright, so it looks a little mushy. Like look at all the liquid in there, a little mushy, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I would rather have my peppers on the small side because this is going into a salsa and my kids just aren't, you know, super fans of big chunky peppers, but that worked. And so I'm just going to transfer all the cut peppers, maybe a couple chunks in there, but I'm going to just transfer all those into this big silver bowl. And then we'll get going with the next batch. And then I got these food prep containers from the store yesterday, and so all I'm doing is I'm putting batches of the peppers into those bowls, and then we'll put them in the fridge or the freezer depending on how the day goes, because if I can't get to it today, then these are going to be in the fridge ready and waiting for when I do have time. And spoiler alert, we do not have time. No time to be had. I got this all done. These sat in my fridge for quite a while, And then I decided to just add them to one of the pasta sauces. We did not get to salsa. This ended up just going into a pasta sauce, which was cooked down in a new roaster oven that I got. And that ended up going to the wildlife. That this all ends up being in the batch that goes to the wildlife. It's so sad. I was so upset. Just life happens. You can only do what you can do. So I was really upset that I, wasted the money, wasted all of this time doing all of this, only for my family not to benefit from it. But I did want to still show you it because it was still part of the journey, part of the process. And this is also a really great way to get more vegetables into those kids that are otherwise pretty picky. It took a few days for me to realize, all right, I am not gonna do salsa. I don't have it in me. I don't have the time. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in this season. It's not gonna happen in this week, in this month, whatever it is, right? So I was like, okay, what can I do with these instead though? Because I didn't want to waste them. Wanted my family to eat them. I was like, well, I've already, cut them all up, so I can't exactly do stuffed peppers anymore. I was like, maybe I could do like a stuffed pepper soup. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw them into one of these batches of sauces, and they're so pulverized, like my kids won't even know, because I would take an immersion blender or another blender to the finished sauce also, right? So I was like, you know what? This is a great way. You could do this with carrots. You could do this with green beans. You could do this with onions. You could do this with a bunch of vegetables, roast them, get them cut up super fine like this, and add them to a big batch of something that you're already making, like pasta sauce. And the kids aren't going to taste it at all, but you're still going to be getting extra vegetables, especially those vegetables that the kids don't really eat, but they really should, you know what I mean? Get those into the pasta sauce. I'm thinking especially for my son with autism, who just has such a limited palate. He is one of my pickiest of eaters. My other picky eater doesn't even eat pasta sauce. So that's a lost cause in that situation. But, like I said, I wanted to leave this in because I did want to share that thought, that idea with you. And also the reality that sometimes we put our best foot forward and we try our hardest and it's still just not good enough. And that's okay, because that's the season of life that we're in at the moment. But I am doing my best. I know you are doing your best. And even if sometimes things don't work out the way that we hoped, I hope you know that you're seen and your effort is appreciated. Okay, so the peppers are prepped. Chicken stock is still cooking away. Those tomatoes are cooking. So I can feel my back already starting to not be happy with me. So I'm going to listen to my body and I'm going to sit down for a little bit. I have some other things that I need to do, like, prepping homeschool, and I've got a little bit of work for a client that I need to do as well. Sorry about all the chimes in the background. So I am going to sit for a little bit, work on those things, and then we will get back to prepping. All right, let's take a peek at our tomatoes, see how those are going. Oh, they're doing pretty good. Starting to break down and become a little salsa. We're going to crack that just a bit. Okay, I was able to get some homeschool stuff printed and situated. The language arts portion for my 7th grader, which is just wild for me to say. My oldest son is now in 7th grade. So we got that situated. He's not super thrilled about it. But we will be able to do that tomorrow, and I think we're at the point now that I can start straining this broth and getting it into these jars, because they're gonna have to pressure cook. I am not looking to be down here all night, and I would like to get this pot so that I can start doing my other tomatoes in it. I need to start getting more of those cooked down. And this broth looks amazing. It smells pretty peppery, so this might be a little bit of a, I don't want to say spicy, but a little spicier of a stock than what I normally do. I am just straining every bit of this. Bring my trash nice and close so that I can strain it, dump it, and keep going. And I've sanitized quite a few bottles, or I had my husband sanitize quite a few bottles, so we should be good there, I would think. Okay. And they are all nice and warm. Try and keep this area clean. So just as my bowl is getting full here, I'm just going to start ladling it in. And we just have a little bit of an assembly line going. I do need to get my lids into a bowl of hot water. I bring everything up right to that curve. If you've seen my other videos where we did all that massive chicken, you know, but in case you haven't, just kind of as a rule of thumb, that's what I do for everything. Right, wrong, or otherwise. That's a little much. That's okay. Let's see if we can do this a little bit quicker. Told you guys, if I can find a faster way to do something, I am all about that. Okay, I let these go a little too long. I can actually smell that the bottom is a bit burnt. So I'm just going to start taking this out. Whoop, here I am making a mess. It's alright, things can be cleaned. Given how hot this is, I'm only going to do about half full at a time and blend it. And I need to find a bowl to put it in. So that canner that I have, that water bath canner, that fit half of a bushel in it, and it fit like perfectly too. So good to know. I'm going to have to cook these down at least 4 times, which is fine. This might be another project that doesn't all get done today, and that's okay too. I have to be gentle with myself, with my body, and with my timeline, because there's other things that I have to get done as well. I feel like this probably isn't gonna work, but I gotta try it because there's definitely seeds and skin parts in there. I know my kiddo probably would not be super thrilled about that, so let's see if we can thin this out a little bit. My friend Jamarelle did this just a few weeks ago at this point, and she has a really awesome contraption that actually removes the seeds and the skins, things like that, after you've cooked them. I don't have one of those, so we're just gonna do it the hard way. But we're able to get quite a bit out of there, so that's good. Okay, so we definitely can do it. It's just gonna take some extra time. That's okay. All right. Will it stay? I don't want it to fall in. Alright, I'm gonna let that. Whoa! No, please stay. That's too big. Too big of a. Ah! Dang it. Alright, apparently I can't. I gotta do it. I feel like there's probably something that I could do with these little skins and seeds, but I think it's just gonna end up in the trash. So I don't have any other way to like pulverize this anymore. Alright, I think that's as good as we're gonna get that. And here are other tomatoes popping. Okay, let's continue making a mess. And continue making a mess, I sure did. By the end of the night, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I tried multiple times to just keep on top of keeping this space clean, but it was really difficult. And I will say, I wish I had just borrowed my mom's food mill earlier. So she doesn't have a new food mill like the one that I was telling you about my friend Jamarelle has. My mom has a old metal one that she's had for a super long time. And when I originally talked to my mom about it and said, you know, that this method right here that you're seeing was my alternate method, she's like, you know, I think you're going to be able to do just fine with that. And I did, except it took a lot longer. And I feel like by the time that I did borrow her food mill, which you'll see at the end of towards the end of the video, it got a lot more. So using the food mill that my mom had, it'll definitely be something that I go back to. I will not do this method right here again because it was a lot. It was I know you probably can't tell, but my left wrist that's holding the not the whisk, that's holding the sifter, the fine mesh strainer there, I have broken that wrist twice now. I broke it when I was in like kindergarten or something like that, and then I broke it again when I was in the military, carrying ammo, and I definitely damaged it when I fell through a scuttle and damaged my back and all that. So that poor wrist has been through the ringer, which means it's really I don't want to say faulty, but it's definitely weaker than my other wrists. So I just have a hard time using it, and definitely prolonged periods where I'm holding something and putting constant vibration and weight on it. It hurts and it gives out, and it sometimes will give out without notice, which can make for a mess and make for a lot of dropping and clumsiness, it seems. But I will definitely be utilizing our other method that you'll see later in the video. I will be utilizing that next time I decide to do this, because even though this took a long time and I felt defeated at multiple points, it is definitely something that now that it's all said and done, it was worth doing, because we certainly, I think at this point, probably have a year's worth of sauce on the shelves for us, which is really exciting. And that right there, when you see the end product, it's always really encouraging. Of course, you just have to decide, was the amount of time and the money that I spent buying all of the ingredients for it, was it worth it? Had to buy extra jars. So I mean, might not have been the cheaper alternative, but is it a better quality? Oh, hands down it's going to be a better quality, just for the lack of ingredients, really. But I will definitely be utilizing the other method next time we do this. Okay, so this right here is a whole bushel? No, half bushel. This is a half bushel worth of sauce. One of my bigger bowls. So that's nice. It is beautiful. It is nice and thick. Okay, and I'm not going to put any heat on this or anything. I am going to cover it. And then I think what I'm going to do, I have 2 of these roasting pans. I think I'm going to put as many tomatoes as I can in the roasting pans and get them in the oven. Unless I can find another big pot, a couple big pots. I don't know. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to push myself too much with these, but I already have a mess going. I know what my week looks like, so I think if I can at least get all of the sauce made tonight and get these jarred, I can do the process of water bath canning them tomorrow during the day, and I can work on the salsa during the week. But like some of these canner tomatoes do have big soft spots. There's been a couple that have had mold on them, so I don't want to waste any of them. So I guess we are getting this done today. So I'm going to, so I put all the sauce that I've made so far back into that ball pot. I'm going to get going on this next half bushel, put them into my roasting pan. I have 2 roasting pans, so I'm going to get both of those going in the oven and cover them with tin foil and roast them that way, cook them down that way, and hopefully I won't need to transfer them or anything. I'll just need to make sure that I add water and that it's covered. Otherwise, we'll end up with some burnt stuff. But I think that's gonna work. I'm already mentally telling myself I'm not gonna do any more with the salsa tonight because I still have to clean up in here and I need to get things together for homeschooling tomorrow for kids. So let's see if we can at least get this next bushel into the oven. That would be great progress. Left in this box and add them to the pots that I have on the stove. There's no reason that I have to keep them separate. Other than I might not have room. So I just added a few more on top here. I'm actually going to leave the lids off for a little bit just so some of that water can evaporate, and then that way these levels of tomatoes go down, and then I'll put the covers back on. Okay, here's the last pot of chicken broth. Let's see if we can get this part of our preservation day wrapped up. When I have a jar that's not filled all the way, we're just gonna top it off with some water. This particular chicken done in the Dutch oven didn't have as much water in it, so I actually only got 2 jars out of the Dutch oven compared to my tall stock pot that I got like 5. So adding some water isn't gonna be a big deal, even flavor wise, because it is so concentrated in these 2 jars. It's just not going to be a big deal. All right, now I've got to get my lids cleaned, pop some lids on these, and then we will get the pressure canner going. And so this was something that we did get tidied up today, thankfully. Always thankful when we can get something kind of checked off of that mental to-do list. Are you the type of person that needs lists? Do you do like checkbox You know, like, do you like to check things off? Do you like to delete them? Or do you like to scratch them out? So I don't get as much joy of deleting something from my phone. Like if I make a list on my notes app in my phone, which is honestly the more convenient of the methods, right? I always have my phone on me, and so I feel like I'm constantly making a to-do list on my phone. But I don't get the same satisfaction as I do when I make a actual handwritten list and then scribble it out. And like I am like, check marks don't do it for me. I'm like, I want to scribble the heck out of that thing and delete it from my ever-loving mind. I feel like as moms, we just have way too much going on in our head. There's constant to-do lists. I make to-do lists of to-do lists, like subcategorize things. It's a whole thing, right? Like that's the type of person that I am, and part of that I think has to do with like my ADHD. Like I am very much a it's so funny, I'm a detail oriented person, but at the same time, like you look at the way that I clean my house, and even look at my jars, look at my jar lids, right? I have my lids, both pieces of my lids in a box. So I can't remember what the insect is, whether I'm like a butterfly or a bee or whatever it is. I can't even remember the YouTuber's name now. The one that does the cleaning methods. And she's like, there's 4 different types of cleaning methods. I have come to find out I need dedicated boxes, and I need to just like, I don't want to see the things. I just want them all in their boxes, and those boxes aren't organized at all. It's like, that's what I need. But it's so funny because I'm so detail oriented. Like I need to make myself lists of lists and like get things planned out as down to the timestamp as I possibly can. All right, we've got 12 jars of chicken stock ready to go in the pressure canner. I'd say that's a pretty good day. Meanwhile, we are going to get some water in here. Water at the bottom. Cover it with the tin foil. All right, these going in the oven. Oh my goodness. All right, last load here. Whoa. Calm down. Okay, my other camera died, so we're gonna move to this one. Don't judge me by the sink. Plenty of other things you can judge me about. Anyhow, can't really do this one-handed. I have some water in the bottom and some vinegar, like a splash of vinegar. Okay, I cannot do it one-handed. I cannot load this one-handed. Unfortunately, I think I can only get like 6 in here at a time. Definitely cannot double stack it. But that just means I gotta run this twice. Okay, right? So there's no way I could put, right? No, there's not. Okay, it's all right. We will double can. All right, let's find the notch. Arrow, notch. All right, I've got the line and the arrow lined up. Now you're gonna do this in a star fashion, just like you would on a tire. Finger tight to get it all nice and even. Okay, go around and tighten one more time. All right, I'm gonna bring this to the stove. All right, so here's what we got going on now. I've got chicken broth in here. This needs to come up to temperature and it needs to purge for about 10 minutes. So what I mean by purging is right here, it'll start boiling and steam will start escaping here, and it needs to purge for 10 minutes. And then we put on our weight, and then once our pressure gets up to where it needs to be, then we start our timer. And I feel like it was probably the longest hour and a half of my life, but this first batch is now done. I don't know if I'm gonna get to the second batch tonight. We've got to wait for this to come down. I've turned off the heat, so it's got to come down to 0, and then I can take the weight off, and then we still need to let it cool. Good noises. That's what we want to hear. Now these need to sit for 24 hours undisturbed. And just taking a look at our tomatoes here, making sure we're evaporating some of that water. Everything's looking good, except over here. Dishes not looking good. So I haven't been filming very much because, for one, my other camera died, but also it's the same thing. same thing. And yeah, having quite a mess. Need to get to dishes. I am not going to get to those tomatoes tonight. It is just not going to happen. So we'll cover those for tomorrow. This, I've still got, sorry, throwing you all around. Still got this much left in the pot to do. Still working our way through. But that's where we're at so far. So that's pretty awesome. I am very excited to see that we are going to have a lot of tomato sauce because we go through a lot. I'm not even going to start those tonight either. I'm going to put those in the fridge. Bear stew is almost done. It's 9:30. Like, I still have to figure out homeschooling. I've still got some client work that I need to do. So my goal is to get through this right here tonight and tackle dishes because I can't leave this place a mess. Good morning, friends. It was a long night last night. I'm definitely still not 100% awake, but we need to get a little bit going. I can't even form words at this point. So first thing I'm going to do is get this next batch of chicken stock in. Get that going. I did learn from my friend Jamrell from watching her that you have to grease your cover, which would explain why maybe mine just isn't fitting as well as it used to. So I've got some Vaseline here that we're gonna put around the rim. And of course, as soon as I get my finger messy in this, I can feel my phone ringing. All right. set that there for a minute. I'm gonna clean my hands, add water to this, a splash of vinegar to help keep it from getting grimy and yucky on the outside of the bottles. And then add the chicken stock in. So this is considered a cold start. The jars are room temperature. The water is like warmish, but it's all going to heat up together. You want the jars and the water, you want everything to be the same temperature. Otherwise you risk thermal shock and having things crack and break on you. Try and make sure that when you're tightening, that you're doing it in a way that is giving you an even seal. You don't want this side to be way up and the other side to be way down, which the star pattern certainly helps with that. Helps to keep everything nice and even. Okay, seal looks good all around. Turn the heat on over medium and let it go. Okay, so next day I'm getting this pot over some heat. We're gonna add in our seasonings and then get them into these jars. We're doing everything up here because it is a Monday now and we've got homeschooling going on. And I just know that I can't get down to my studio space while it's just me here. So this is a bushel. So we have at least one more of these coming as I get things cooked down. So I'm gonna add in some seasonings. I have this large container of Italian spice or Italian seasoning. I'm gonna try adding half of it at first, and then I would like to add salt. The problem becomes, as far as the USDA's guidelines for canning, you add salt to the container, though I think it's optional. So it's the lemon juice that has to happen. So yeah, so I'm going to get this sauce right, and then we're going to jar it up. And what has to happen is I actually have to get it jarred up before I can water bath everything, because it all has to be done in here. So, gotta get it out. Okay, I know this isn't a spoon, but I am going to use this to stir the pot because it is the longest utensil that I have. Almost. Mississippi. Mississippi. Yeah. It's a whole thing. It's a whole song.
Is Mississippi a song?
Yeah, that's how people remember it. No, there is double S's. Double S's and double P's.
Mississippi. What does it say?
In your imagination, it's spelled differently. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got the first batch in. These have been boiling for an hour. That's a little bit hotter than I was anticipating. Not an hour. They've been boiling for 40 minutes, and then 45 minutes oh my goodness. Okay. They had to boil for 40 minutes, and then you turn the heat off, let it set for 5 minutes. Now these are ready to come out of the water bath here, and we're just going to set them over here in the sunshine on a wooden block and then sit undisturbed for about an hour, for about 24 hours. And hopefully we will start hearing all the clicking and popping. Okay, so you should be putting hot jars into a hot water bath. I don't have that luxury, so what I'm doing is this pot needs more water anyhow, so I'm adding in a little bit colder water to help to bring that water temperature down. Then I'm going to run some hot water over the jars just in the sink before I put them into this water bath, and then bring everything up in heat together. And then once it starts boiling, that's when my timer starts.
Stop. He's mean. Trying to act serious and. But you do not, Timur. You do not. You're mean. Timur, this is so good.
Okay, this is yesterday's bounty of tomato sauce. And so today we just got the next batch of tomatoes in here, half a bushel. And then we've got this other half a bushel that I'll probably just end up adding there, even though it has already been cooked, but it's sat for a bit. So just to warm up everything, kill any chances of bacteria. I'm gonna add it here, and we'll just be cooking this all down today. And I am taking this opportunity to use it as a homeschool moment, homeschooling my kids on how to make tomato sauce.
Hamburger because its name originates from the city of Hamburg, Germany.
Hamburger.
Okay, we are making progress. We are almost to the bottom of our pot here. I had a little station set up, and it's definitely getting messy, but we're blending and then passing through the strainer. I have found that this is helping to actually press it through the strainer and then scooping out the seeds that's left from the strainer onto the plate. And then I'm taking this and dumping it in here, and now I have this simmering. I do want this batch to be a little bit thicker than the one that I already have done, so we're going to simmer this for quite a while, I think. And I've got the herbs and salt, and I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in there as well, just to help balance that acidity. But it is quite sweet. These tomatoes were sweet, so yeah, that's where we're at right now. Hopefully can get this done today. Okay, so this batch I did a little bit differently. I added more salt, added more Italian seasoning, garlic pepper, onion powder, or garlic powder, onion powder. What I put in? A little more thyme, but I mean, it's pasta sauce. It's all gonna taste just fine. Okay, between homeschool and one of my kids bolting, you guys know which one, soccer practice, all the things, we're having a hard time getting this pasta sauce project wrapped up. But I have it done. We had pasta for dinner, so they had pasta sauce on it. I have been given the green light that yes, it's delicious, perfection. So now I am going to attempt to bottle this up. Did it update?
Yeah, it updates.
Oh,
You're right, it is updated.
you're right, it is updated.
I love the update.
Yeah. Trying to contain some of the mess. I tend to have some dripping and spilling. So something worth mentioning here is that you'll see in some of these jars it looks like there's a little bit of liquid down at the bottom, and that's because the USDA does say you can add lemon juice and salt as optional ingredients to your tomatoes, and tomatoes by themselves are acidic enough to just can like that. But I mean, the acid from the lemon juice is supposed to, you know, bring what acidity it needs, because they don't know what tomatoes you're using and they can't test tomatoes individually. So your choice, okay? Use lemon juice or not. Your pasta sauce is plenty acidic. Almost forgot the lemon juice. That would have been a sad day. So we need 2 tablespoons in here. 2 tablespoons per each one of these. So since I have these already filled with pasta sauce, I will measure it out. You guys know I was kind of rebel canning it the other day and just tossing some in that I knew would be plenty. I'll be a good canner today. Measure it out. Ooh, that makes that one kind of full. Oddly enough, I think that this bushel of tomatoes is not going to yield as much as our ones from last night did. Just kind of looking at the amount of cans and the amount of sauce that I have left, I'll be very surprised if we get the same amount. I did try and make this sauce thicker, so that could have something to do with it. I don't know. Many reasons, I'm sure, that this maybe didn't yield as much. But we should still get quite a bit. Just overall, you know, end result is really what matters. Necessarily a right or wrong way to tell how much something has reduced. There's of course the, you know, spoon method, but I'm finding that that doesn't really work as well with the sauce. I mean, you don't want it to be crazy thick, right? Then you're gonna get more of a marinara sauce, which I mean, it wouldn't be bad, and you get to the point that you get tomato paste, and that's not what we were after. So, you know, you can do the spoon method where you dip a spoon, run your finger horizontal over that spoon, and if the sauce doesn't continue to run down that horizontal line that you just wiped out, then you know it's pretty thick, you know, it's thick enough. Even if you have slightly watery sauces, like I have a few from the first batch that are on the more watery side, and that's just going to give us a looser sauce. And so there's nothing wrong with it. You can always reduce it down after the fact as well. But I was amazed at how long I had to have this sauce reducing on the stove to get the consistency that I wanted. It was significantly longer than what I was anticipating. And that also got me thinking, you know, the amount of propane that we're going through just by keeping the stove on and keeping this huge pot simmering away all day. Like, is that really worth it? You know, if we had our wood stove, we did have to start the other day. It's October at the time of this recording because life has been just insane. So October 10th or October 11th, we started our wood stove because it was that cold, first fire of the 2025-2026 winter season here in Maine. We had to start that, though. I also think, okay, let me rephrase this here. Too many thoughts all at once. I cook on my wood stove. It is free heat. It's heat that we're already using for our home, so it's dual purpose, okay? So instead of spending our money on the propane, we still have the propane. We still have our cooktop. Like, we still have it, but if I'm already running a fire in the house, I'm going to try and use my wood stove as much as I can. However, that ball canning pot would not fit on the cook stove, even if I wanted to do it that way. Just with the way that our fireplace is structured, the way that it's made, I can fit Dutch ovens on there. If you haven't seen one of my winter cooking with no electricity videos, make sure you go check that out on my channel, because that'll show you exactly how I do it. How we make do here when we lose power, because this last year or the year before, we lost power for about 2 weeks and had to forage for water, and you know, there was a lot of wood stove cooking, and there was a lot of washing dishes with just heating up snow and then water and filtering it and things like that. It's just, you know, but this is the life that we live and love, in the place that we choose to live and spend our days, and wouldn't have it any other way. You know, by day 14, of course, it's getting a little much. We're all ready for nice warm showers and modern conveniences, but anyhow, yeah, just word to the wise that it's easy to underestimate how long you need to reduce this tomato sauce. I don't think, especially in huge batches like this, I don't think you can go too long. I don't think that's a thing. All right, number 1 in. Looks like we will only need to do 2 batches, and I think I did maybe 3 on this one over here. So Definitely did not get as much with this bushel as we did the first, but hey, that's okay. Okay, these are the first ones of the second batch to come out. We finally have the last batch in. Ooh, nice sound. Well, it was bedtime, but the kids said the sun is blowing up. Said it's a beautiful sunset. I was like, okay, go for it. All right, here we go. We have all of these done. Finally done. So we ended up with 32 quarts in 1 pint. Maybe that's backwards. My brain is not braining right now. But I have 32 of these big jars, and then we had enough for 1 of these littler ones. And I want to show you the difference. So in this first batch that I did, it's definitely a thinner sauce. You can see kind of this liquid line, whereas this came from the second batch that I did, and there's no liquid in there. We reduced it enough that there's little to no liquid in there. But then this first batch, so this will just be a thicker sauce. This will be a thinner sauce. So we ended up with more from our first batch, but that's because we, didn't reduce it enough. Most of the jars from the first batch have this liquid line. All the jars from the second batch do not. We did end up getting 100 pounds of tomatoes canned and processed, or processed and canned into sauce. So this sauce can be used for multiple recipes coming up over the next few months. The way that we did kind of figure it out last night is ideally, if we just did pasta with pasta sauce, we tend to do that about once a week on average. So we have about 8 months here, but of course some of this will be used for things like meatballs, maybe lasagna or chili or something of that nature. So I don't expect that this is all going to last 8 months, but it's really nice to have this up and on the shelf, and one thing off of my consistently growing grocery list. So it did take 3 days, but that's okay. I do like to show you guys reality on this channel. I am a mom of a large family. We are trying to homeschool. We've got fall sports. We've got all the things going on in life. So it's okay that this took 3 days, and it's not something that we could get done in one day. And I hope you are encouraged and inspired in seeing another way that you're able to make sauce and preserve it, because I don't have any real fancy technology or anything. So it did take a lot more time and a lot of muscle, just kind of pushing the stewed and blended tomatoes through the mesh strainer. If I had some device that would help me to remove those things, this project probably would have gone a lot more quickly. And if I had bigger pots, I only have really one big pot that I can make the tomatoes in, but then I also have to use that pot to can. So it's just a lot going on, but you can still make it happen. I love one of the things that Jessica Soward says, you do what you can with where you're at, right? Turn your waiting room into a classroom. That's something that she preaches on and talks about all the time, and I really love that concept. Our homestead is not so much of a homestead anymore. We have no animals other than our dogs at this point, and my garden continues to be a failure just about every year. but we can still support local, buy produce from local farmers, farmers markets that are doing it, making a living for their family, and all in the process make stuff for my own. Okay, I can't even tell you what day we're on working through all of these tomatoes. And I did actually just get a call that there's even more that are available to us if we want them. But we gotta get these ones done first. So I am upstairs today for the most part. So let's get these going on the stovetop up here in my big ball canning thing there. And yeah, just see what we can get cooked down. All right, we're just gonna look at these and plop them in whole. Thankfully, these are all in pretty good shape, which is surprising for as long as we've had them. All right, we've got this thing filled right up. I still have a few more that are in the sink there from that one crate, and cutting off the bad pieces and just leaving them there. So it's about noontime. Cover this, get it cooking down a bit, and then we'll add in the rest of them. This right here is my preferred method, okay? Cooking everything right in this, using the immersion blender, which does take a little while because I don't think my immersion blender even went all the way down to the bottom, but you have to really up and down all around and take breaks because your immersion blender is not meant to be used like a blender. Does that make sense? You really need to give it breaks. It's meant for kind of quick pulses to get the job done. So you'll see that I keep giving it a few breaks here and there. The motor, everything was kind of working overtime here. But this made for a much better pureed sauce than my blender does. So I was pretty surprised by that. And then I have already said I love the food mill. The food mill helped a ton as well. But I actually found using the immersion blender, I didn't need to use the food mill as much as I needed to strain that very first batch that we did. So moving forward, I will for sure be using the immersion blender again, borrowing the food mill, or investing maybe someday in one that does it all for me. Ooh, okay, so I just took an immersion blender to this in hopes that I could get some more of this kind of down, physically down into the pot. I'm going to keep leaving it on medium here. Need some of this water to evaporate just so that we don't end up overflowing this. But yeah, that's my plan and hopes so far. Okay, I've got this pretty much all blended down. I think we will end up probably straining it. I almost feel like the immersion blender did a better job than our regular blender. So maybe I won't add seasoning just yet. I don't want to add seasoning and then end up removing it when we run it through the strainer. So maybe let's add in a little bit of salt and sugar right now. because the salt will be dissolved, so that's not gonna matter. I have a little bit of brown sugar here. Actually just gonna add that in. Helps to add some balance. It's not a ton. Helps me use up this little bag too. Seriously, wasn't even like a quarter of a cup, not even. Okay, so that's now all mixed, and we're just gonna let it cook down, and then I'll probably do the immersion blending again just to make sure that there's no chunks in there. And then hopefully this evening I'm gonna be getting the food mill for my mom as well, and so we'll pass that through, and then we'll get into putting this into jars and getting the next batch of tomatoes in. Which the next batch I have right here just kind of sitting and soaking in the sink so that I have to process them tonight. I don't know if that's a smart idea or a bad idea. Okay, so my mom let me borrow her food mill, like old hand crank food mill. And I can tell you this is already getting me more and with less effort than putting this all through a strainer. Though I will say, I think the immersion blender actually worked a bit better than my blender. I feel like we're getting a whole lot more out of it. So all I'm doing is I've got the whole pot there blended down, and now I'm just passing it through the food mill into this bowl and then putting it into this one. And just trying to get this to reduce on the stove. So I've increased the heat on it. Trying to get it to come up to a more of a low boil so we can get some of that water to evaporate. See if I can, I don't think I can do this one-handed. Maybe. I can just kind of go back and forth with this. Some of it, one way kind of wipes the bottom of this. Thank you. And the other way helps to pass it through. So going this way helps to clean the bottom. Going this way helps to press it down into the crevices. And clean it going backwards. See how you can see the bottom of that. This is helping to push it through. Alright, so I am getting impatient, so I'm actually adding a whole bunch of tomatoes to a slow cooker. We'll see what we can get cooked down with these. Just really want to get this done at this point. Really can't fit a ton in there. Keep popping some into my ball canning jar as it cooks down, but it's taking a while, and it just like the water itself needs to evaporate quite a bit out of there still. So I'm going to try and get as many as I can into the slow cooker and into that pot, and then the rest in this bowl. And just kind of probably stay up most of the night and keep an eye on things, get them get them going. But I feel a little bit better having everything either in a bowl, in the slow cooker, and in that pot. makes me feel a little bit better, because now I can get this counter cleaned up. I've taken everything out of the sink so I can get the dishes done. I want to be able to go to bed with a clean kitchen. That's really important to me. I'm going to put some water in this just so it doesn't burn. And it shouldn't overflow because I do have some space right there. As you can see, got it filled right back up again. I just keep kind of plopping tomatoes down in, and I'll be hitting it with an immersion blender later. Got our slow cooker here and our last basket of tomatoes. All right, we are still working on reducing everything down. I've been cleaning up the kitchen. I just keep kind of taking from this slow cooker and adding it to this pot. Just kind of keep reducing it down. But I had some kids that said, hey, what about tomato soup and grilled cheese? So tomato soup and grilled cheese is what's going to be for lunch. And I am a-okay with that. Okay, so this is it. This is our bushel of tomatoes. This has been reduced down. So this is the last bushel, and we're going to get this canned up as soon as I get the kitchen completely clean, because I want the hot water in the sink for my cups and things like that. So yeah, get this kitchen completely cleaned up, and I guess this is my project for the night, but then we will be done and I will have a real good amount of pasta sauce. Okay, I can't even tell you what day we are at with this pasta sauce, but I can tell you I had to go out and buy more quart jars because all of ours have been used up. All right, here is the look at what we ended up getting done. These are all nice and full. They've been sitting for 24 hours. So we're good to put these away. And that is finally it. I did lose some tomato sauce stuff just because I had started the project at different points, and at one point I did start some, and then life happened, and so it did get away from us, got moldy, no good, so I did end up having to chuck some of that. But with the amount that we had got done previously in this video, plus what we just got done, we've got, how many is this? We've got 12 quarts plus 14, 16, 18, 19 quarts from this batch that we just did. So we've got a ton, right? If I can look back in the video and do the math, numbers right here. That's what we got done from 200 pounds of tomatoes. Again, probably lost about 25 or so pounds worth of tomatoes just from my own doing. But that's great. And now we've got a whole bunch to keep on the shelves for later in the year. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys got some ideas, some inspiration, and let me know in the comments if you are doing some massive preservation. I would love to hear about it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.